Hey everybody, this is the Icon Buster here, and today I'm going to read you another story. Now, I know this isn't my normal story time with the Icon Buster, and usually I like to read something that's either written by my brother or one of my fans or even myself. I've written some really bad stories. But out of all of the shitty stories I've read on this channel, I think today I'm going to read the most shittiest. Now, it's not really a story per se about, superheroes or, well, the problem with the story, you see, isn't because, it's poorly written or there's something wrong initially with the story. The problem with the story is the subject matter, and the subject matter that I'm going to read to you today. Now, normally I like to get stories that are not copyrighted, and probably, unfortunately, this story is copyrighted, and hopefully I won't get a copyright strike for reading it, but I am going to read this story to you all today. Now, if you want to read the story yourself, you'll have to go to thewired.com, which I'll definitely leave a link to the story in the description of the video, so you can actually go and read the story yourself. I will say this is the worst story I ever read, and again, the story is written by a person named Marvin Ammori, and if I mispronounced your name, I'm sorry. Hopefully you won't sue me or have this taken down. And by the way, when I say this is a bad story, again, I'm not talking about the way it's written, just talking about what it talks about. And it's not because it's not anything he does that makes this a bad story. I'm talking about this is a bad story for everyone, in the sense that this, like all my other stories that have been fictional, is apparently true, and because of it, it screws us all. So, again, I want to give the person who wrote this from thewired.com. His name is Marvin Ammori. The title of this story is called We're About to Lose Net Neutrality in the Internet as We Know It. Okay, so, chapter only 1. Net neutrality is a dead man walking. The execution date isn't set, but it could be days or months at best. And since net neutrality is the principle of forbidding huge telecommunication companies from treating users, websites, and apps differently, says by letting some work better than others over their pipes, the dead man walking isn't some abstract or far removed principle just for wonks. It affects the internet as we know it. Once upon a time, companies like AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon and others declared war on the internet's foundation principle. That is, a network that should be neutral, and users don't need anyone's permission to invent, create, communicate, broadcast, or share online. The neutral and level playing field provided by permission innovation has empowered all of us with the freedom to express ourselves and innovate online without having to seek permission of a remote telecom executive. Sorry, I can't read. And I run a reading red site, so I'm not very bright, am I? But anyways, moving forward. But today, that freedom won't survive much longer. If a federal court, the second most powerful court in the nation behind the Supreme Court, the D.C. Circuit, is set to strike down the nation's net neutrality law and rule adopted by the Federal Communication Commission in 2010, some will claim the new solution splits the baby, solution that says split the baby, in a way that somehow doesn't kill net neutrality, and so we should be grateful. But make no mistake, despite 8 years of public and political activism by multitudes fighting for freedom on the internet, a court decision may soon take it away. And again, I want to stress how I can't read, yet I run a website or a YouTube channel about reading stories. I am the dumbest man alive. Keep going. A game of loopholes and rules. How did we get here? The CEO of AT&T told an interview back in 2005 that he wanted to introduce a new business model to the internet, charging companies like Google and Yahoo to reliably reach internet users on the AT&T network. Keep in mind that the user already paid access to the internet and that Google and Yahoo already paid other telecom companies, often called backbone providers, to connect to these internet users. Disclosure: I have done legal work for several companies supporting network neutrality, including Google. That was from our buddy Marvin Ammori, who also has this like little side note here. It says Wired Opinion. This is Marvin Ammori. Marvin Ammori is a future tense fellow at the New American Foundation and a lawyer who represents technological companies on the internet policies issued. He is also the co-founder of startup Words and Shit, which enables contents to be distributed to wearable devices. A graduate of Harvard Law School, Ammori served on the board of Demand Progress, fought for future, and an engine adversary. Fast Company named him one of the 100 most creative people in business in 2012 for being Silicon Valley's go-to First Amendment guy and one of the leaders of the campaign against SOPA and PIPA. Okay, so Marvin Ammori is a very important person. Too bad I have no idea what SOPA is. I have no idea what PIPA is. And half the stuff in that paragraph, I have no idea what it meant. So, I hope Marvin Ammori, if you somehow come across this video, please don't pull me down. I'm like on your side. This is like, I'm actually, for, freedom and shit. So, I'm just trying to, get your word out there, even though your word is probably spreading a lot faster without my help, but just getting it out there. But anyways, so please don't shut down my video. Please, Mr. Ammori. You sound like a lawyer. Don't sue me. Okay, I'm going to go back to reading now. But AT&T wants to add an additional toll beyond what is already made from the internet. Shortly after that, a Verizon executive voiced an agreement hoping to end what he called tech companies' free lunch. It turned out that around the same time, Comcast had begun secretly trialing services to block some web's most popular applications that could pose competitive threats to Comcast, such as BitTorrent. I don't know what that is. I need to get out more. Yet the phone and cable companies tried to dress up their plans as false compromise. Oh, okay. Let me reread this. Yet the phone and cable companies tried to dress up their plans as false compromise? Okay. Let me try that again. Yet the phone and cable company tried to dress up their plans as false compromise. Counterintuitively, they supported the telecommunication legislation in 2006 that would authorize the FCC to stop phone and cable companies from blocking the website. If this is your first time coming to the website and you're asking, well, why didn't you edit this out and cut out all the times you reread this? Then you need to watch my other videos, because I never do a second take. Which is probably why I don't have that many people following me in the first place. So, this is all freestyle. It's what I do. It's what I've been doing. So, love it. Or hate it. Or something. Words and shit. There was a catch, however. The bill included an exception that swallowed the rule. The FCC would be unable to stop cable and phone companies from taxing innovators or providing worse services to some sites and better services to others. Since we know internet users tend to quit using a website or application if it loads even just a few seconds slower than a competitor's version. This is a no blocking rule would essentially have enabled the phone and the cable companies to discriminate by picking websites, apps, platforms, winners, and losers. Congress would merely enact the loopholes. Thinks of it as a safe harbor of discriminating online. Okay, so Congress would merely, so basically he has in the parentheses that Congress would merely enact the loophole. Think of it as a safe harbor for discriminating online. Okay. Excuse me, people. Luckily, consumer groups, technologically, okay. Again, I want to just enforce the fact I cannot read. Luckily, consumer groups, technology companies, political leaders, and American citizens saw through the nonsense and rallied around the principle to preserve the Internet's openness. They advocated for one simple, necessary rule, a non-discriminate principle that became known as network neutrality. Whoa! This principle would forbid phones and cable companies not only from blocking, but also from discriminating between entering in a special business deal that benefits of some sites over others. Okay, now, alright, let's go. Both sides battled out the issue before Congress, federal agents, in the several Senate's presidential campaigns over the next 5 years. These fights culminated in the 2010 FCC decision that included a non-discrimination rule. Unfortunately, the rule still had major loopholes, especially when it came to mobile networks. It also built, to some extent, on a shaky political foundation because the FCC chairman repeatedly folded when facing pressure. Still, the adopted rule was better than nothing, and it was a major advance over AT&T's opening bid and the 2005 of the no blocking rule. As the Verizon took the FCC to court to void the 2010 FCC rules, Verizon went to court to attack that part of the rules forbidding them from discriminating among websites and applications from setting up on what we once called the information superhighway, the equivalent of a toll booth, fast lane, and dirt road. Okay. It was something. Okay. There and back again. Some that were we are today waiting for the second most powerful court in the nation, the D.C. Circuit, to rule on Verizon case. During the case oral argument back in early September, corporates, lobbyists, lawyers, financial analysts, and consumers advocated packed into the courtroom. Some sitting, some standing, some regulating to an overflowed room. Since then, everyone interested in the Internet's freedom has been waiting for the opinion, including everyday folks who search the web or share their thoughts in 140 characters, and including me, who argued the first losing network neutrality case before the D.C. Circuit in 2010. So now we know that this guy was apparently involved in this court case. So, okay, keep going. But their questions and statements during the oral argument and judge have made clear how they plan to rule for the phone and cable companies, not for those who use the internet. While the FCC has the power to impose the toothless no blocking rule originally proposed by AT&T above, it does not, the court will say, have the power to impose the essential non-discrimination rule. It looks like we'll end up where AT&T initially began, a false compromise. The implication of such a decision would be profound. Web and mobile companies will live or die not on the merits of their technology and design, but on the deal they can strike with AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, and others. This large phone and cable companies will be able to shake down, start up, and establish companies in every sector requiring payment for reliable services. In fact, during the oral argument, in the current case, Verizon lawyers said, I am authorized to state from my client today that but for these FCC rules, we would be exploring those type of arrangements. Wait, it gets even worse. Pricing isn't even necessarily a forcing factor. Once the courts void the non-discrimination rule, AT&T, Verizon, and Comcast will be able to deliver some sites and services more quickly and reliable than others for any reason, whim, envy, ignorance, competition, vengeance, whatever, or no reason at all. So what if you got a great new company, an amazing group of founders, a seat in a reputable accelerated program, great investors and mentors with the permission-based innovation over our pipes desired from the likes of Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T. There's no mediocrity here. Of course, despite everything Judge suggests during the 2-hour argument, it's possible that they offer net neutrality a reprieve given how sticky this morass is. There's one simple way for you to judge the opinion. If the court throws out the non-discrimination rule, permissionless innovation on the internet as we know it is done. If the non-discrimination rule, I don't know this word, I think it's miraculously, if the non-discrimination rule miraculously survives, then for now at least, so too will freedom on the internet. Sorry I read all that. Sorry I put you all through that. Like I said, this is the worst story I've ever read. Not because it was badly written. In fact, it was wonderfully written by a wonderful person. I think this person is, out there actually trying to speak his mind, give us freedom, tell us about, the freedoms that were on the internet before and everything. I think he's a great writer. This is only the worst story because our government has decided that freedom of speech is not a something that is given to us, but it is now a luxury, not a freedom anymore. So if you get to this video and you like what you hear and you want to check out my other videos, please rate, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want there. I would like you guys, if you get a chance, to check out my story time with the Icon Busters. I think if you found any of this reading funny, you'll definitely find my story times with the Icon Buster a lot funny. I tend to like to do more comedy stuff than I do serious stuff. I watched Alpha Omega Sin, and he made a good point. I've heard about this as going on, as it's been leading up to this downfall. There was the thing with I know Doug a long time ago put a video out about net neutrality, and I know a bunch of other online celebrities have put out. And when I say Doug, I'm talking about the Nostalgia Critic, because I just said his first name. Doug Walker. Anyways, I know that they've all had their own opinion in the past about net neutrality. This thing's been going on for years, and it's a shame that we lose. So please spread this video around, or at least if not this video, spread Alpha's video around, spread Archfiend's video around, which I might post this both. I'm gonna leave this in the comments section of both Alpha's and Archfiend's video, just to kind of hopefully get people to see it, to help spread the word around too. And also basically I want people to bring attention to this writer right here, Marvin Ammori, because I think he does a really good job explaining this. Because this, I went through, after hearing about it, I went through a lot of people. There's like a lot of, if you go online and you try to look this up, there's a lot of sites I saw where I could have read you columns from that, but it's real confusing. And like, I was on the Forbes website earlier, and I don't know if I was just reading it wrong or what. Like I said, I do kind of have some trouble with reading comprehension from time to time, and it was one of those things that was written in such a, what I felt like was a stylized business way, that I couldn't even tell whether or not the site was for net neutrality, against net neutrality. But this is like the first article I found that it's like easy to understand, it's easy to read. It's, you know, it talks to you, and the person explains everything that's happened. It gives you the whole history, the rundown of, you know, what it is and everything. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because this will hit the 20-minute mark. Hopefully you guys have stuck around to watch me this far. You guys have a wonderful day, and net neutrality, new government, you've been busted. I don't even use that line anymore, but you guys have a nice night. Bye.